Hey guys, this is Sundown. It's gonna be my chapter review to. I keep saying Nanatsu no Taizai, man. This is my chapter review to My Hero Academia, Boku no Hero Academia, number 258. Friends. I thought it was a solid chapter. Let's go straight into it because my reviews have been longer as of late, and I'm trying to narrow it back down to what it used to be, like the 10-minute mark. It's all 20-minute mark right now, but let's get right down to it. It's become so like these reviews have become really conversational, where I'm just talking to myself and talking to you guys. But I need to limit it and kind of make it more accurate. So the first thing we see is the cover page where we see Burnin, followed by Deku, Bakugo, and Shoto. And the drawing itself is just really sharp. Burnin looks amazing. Bakugo looks insane. He looks like he's got Spider-Man's eyes. But let's continue. Anyway, so the chapter starts in a flashback. So even though we just had the time skip, we start in a flashback technically. So when the last time we saw Hawks was when he kind of got that that intel that the heroes knew about the hospital in the mountains in Kyoto, which is where Shigaraki has been receiving all of his upgrades, and all the wires and shit have been in him, and he's been pumped full of steads and all that good shit. So this is 1 week after that event. So this isn't part of the time skip. This is way before the time skip. So we have Jin Bubaigawara, who's twice. He runs up to Hawks and he calls him. He says, "Oh, Red's here too." So that must be one of the. Actually, Red is definitely one of the. We're introduced to a whole bunch of these. What are they called? Liberation Army guys who are part of the MLA now. Why is it my something military? I forgot what it's called, but the MLA. So one of the blonde guys that Hawks is actually speaking to is, I think, who he's referring to as Red. Anyway, Twice is speaking to Hawks. He's like, "What should I say for our mission statement? People have been asking me about, what we're gonna do, what our aim is, and I don't really have an answer." And then he imitates someone, and Hawks is like, "Oh, that was a good impression of Sanctum." But the impression he makes is the guy who he's trying to imitate is asking, "Many in this regiment are harboring doubts. You may be a figurehead," speaking to Twice, who simply handed your position, "but we ought to hear the mission statement from your own lips." So this Sanctum guy seems pretty intense. He's like, he's telling these guys straight up. He's like, we're doubtful of whether you guys can do this job. There's gonna be doubt. There's gonna be slivers of people possibly betraying other people, I think, just simply because they don't trust the League of Villains. So the Sanctum guy is very upfront, and Twice just is like, "I gotta take a dump," and he runs away and goes to ask for Hawks' help, and Hawks is laughing his ass off. But apparently the Sanctum guy is the longest serving member of the Liberation Army. I'm not sure whether that means he's powerful or not. Just because you're longest serving doesn't necessarily mean you're the strongest, but I'm hoping he is up there. Even though he wasn't, we've never seen Sanctum before, and he wasn't involved in the whole Deka City thingy, so I'm not sure if he is going to be all that powerful. So we're then told how the new Paranormal Liberation Front, is that what it's called now? What the hell is the MLA? So the League members and former MLA commanders. Yeah, so the MLA, but the Paranormal Liberation Front now, the MLA is what they used to be, the Liberation Army. So yeah, the Paranormal Liberation Front is split into different regiments, and Hawks has memorized all of these regiments. It's cool. So that's going to show how able and adaptable Hawks is. But what's really important are these divisions. So the first division is the Vanguard Action Tactics Regiment. So this Tactics Regiment, I thought it was a bit of a weird selection. You have Twice as the leader of the Tactics, the figurehead of the Tactics Regiment. I'm not sure Twice is the guy for Tactics. The rest of them you kind of understand why, but Tactics, Twice, he's usually the guy that's like, the Deadpool. He goes in without the tactics. So apparently the three most capable members of each regiment serves as an advisor to the lieutenant being each of these individuals we see at the front. So you can see Twice has this mustachio dude. He has this dude that looks like a freaking regenerated from Evil Dead, from Resident Evil, and then he has some old lady who looks like she's about to offer cookies, son. So yeah, his crew look pretty cool, especially the Resident Evil regenerator looking dude. But this reminded me of like the 1,000 Year Blood War arc, where we just got introduced to a whole bunch of Quincy's and stuff like that, and they all had like heads of divisions and stuff like that. This is very reminiscent of that. I can't even remember if we got page similar to this where they were like introductions and stuff like that, but it does remind me heavily of that. We then see the next Vanguard action regiment, which is the Guerrilla Warfare, Regiment, which is their color is violet, and the leaders of this are Apocrypha and Dabi. So there, Twice is the only single leader, the single lieutenant of any of these regiments, which is weird. I'm not sure if like Twice, for starters, he's the lieutenant of the tactical regiment, but also being the singular lieutenant of the tactical regiment, they have a lot of faith in him for some reason or other. So Dabi and Apocrypha are the leaders of this weird initial duo. This dude that's wearing a hat with like a Woven War sign on it. It looks like Wonder Woman's logo actually. Then he has this dude wearing like a mask, and this other lady wearing like half her face is covered. Then this dude with piercings all over the place looking like Pain, and he actually he's got like a latias or something like that, or latios head looking ass dude. Then the next regiment is the Intelligence Regiment, Carmine. This one makes complete sense. We have the guy from the Guerrillas, forgotten his name, and we have Toga. Complete sense. You know, the guy from the Guerrillas was all about intelligence data and all that stuff, knowing his enemy. And then Toga can literally become the enemy, and especially with her awakened powers, she can utilize the quirks of her enemy. So that's pretty straightforward. Her advisors are, I think, that guy that we saw at the beginning, the one with the blonde hair, red, and then we have like someone from the Lightning Village in Naruto or something like that. Is that a dark-skinned lady with, I think, blondish hair? And then we have what's his name? Oh my god, the guy that initially introduced the League of Villains to Deka City, and his partner is R2D2, like legitimately R2D2. And then we have someone who looks like he's from Rave Master, and a fat dude wearing a cap. And then we have the last regiment, which is the Support Regiment, Brown. Makes complete sense. We have Mr. Compress and we have Spinner, both who are very support type characters. And then we have basically the most Quincy looking dude ever. He's got Uryu's hairstyle and everything, with either a cigarette or a lollipop, depends on whether you're 4 kids or not. And then a lady with a ladybug kind of head. Looks kind of weird, but I'd like to see more of what that is. She kind of reminds me a little bit of that Centipede hero. And then she's got like some normal looking ass dudes for her second group of advisors. And then his third group of advisors are this weird square marshmallow looking dude, and a guy with question marks for like a face. Like he has a head, and then he has 2 reversed question marks on his face, which is always a sign of a madman. So I'm anticipating that this question mark dude is gonna be cray. Anyway, Hawks is like, okay, so if they make the first move, referring to the heroes, we're gonna lose. So we're told here about, you know, how Hawks, even how he's even despite him being under constant surveillance, he has a way about him. Because it was drilled into him at a young age by the Safety Commission. He's able to his interpersonal skills are basically off the charts, so he's able to infiltrate like he has here, and he's able to garner information from the people to understand why they're doing the things that they're doing. So what he's observed so far is animosity and resentment towards the current system, and they want to bring down these villains, all these people that have joined the Paranormal Liberation Front. They all want to bring down the status quo, whether that means, for a lot of them, that might not even mean killing off all the heroes or something like that. For a lot of them, it might just mean, you know, more equal rights and stuff like that, more equality in the country that we're in, more opportunity. But the organization they've joined, that most definitely means annihilating and trying to kill all the heroes. So Hawks is like, yeah, you should probably lead with something like individual freedom should reign supreme. We're going to destroy the status quo. And he also say something about being loyal to Redestro, because, you know, you want to keep his boys on our side as well. I love Twice's reaction. He's like, if I ain't feeling it, I ain't gonna say it. I was like, yo, this guy, he's crazy. But yeah, so Twice runs away, and we have Hawks in the back of his mind just thinking bringing down the status quo equals annihilating all heroes. And you can tell he's just thinking, and I think he's peeing his pants a little, thinking, shit, there's so much that could go wrong here. any misstep by the heroes, any misstep by Hawks, and people could be dying. And the death flag for Hawks throughout the whole of this thing is waving like the World Cup, like when I get older. Like Hawks is probably not going to get any older because it's not looking good for Hawks, I don't think. Anyway, the plan for the Paranormal Liberation Front is to attack all major cities at once throughout the nation. That's how big they are. We saw how many people they had, but this shows how big they got. They're gonna attack the entirety of basically Japan, all major cities at once throughout the nation. That's how large they are. And with the country brought to a standstill, without law, without any leadership, what's gonna happen is Redestro and the Hearts and Mind Party, the guy with the slick back hair and the sunglasses, they're gonna storm the political world. Pretty much the words here. So essentially, what they're gonna do is they're gonna bring the country to a halt, standstill, lawless. Then they're going to jump into the law area, into politics, and they're going to take that by storm and implement their own law system. Once this is done, they'll distribute weaponry, they'll sing the virtues of like self-defense, calling it true freedom. So essentially saying people can utilize their quirks however they see fit, people can fight, and people can use weaponry, all this shit, basically making it a lawless hellscape, essentially. Like Wano, essentially. And then once they've done this, and once the laws have lost their meanings and stuff like that, then they'll just roll out with Shigaraki as their king, essentially, and they'll just be like, yep, we've done our job, the world is in chaos, Shigaraki's the king, this is what we wanted. But once again, I don't really understand, because Shigaraki, I know he cray and he wants chaos, much like the Joker, but once he's achieved chaos, Shigaraki also isn't the type. He doesn't like living in squalor. He doesn't like living in poor conditions. From what we've seen, when it's not something that he's too fond of. These guys like sushi and stuff like that. They like quality stuff. I say sushi as if it wasn't a snack. So I don't see why, like, if the whole country's on fire and burning down and all the buildings have been knocked down and stuff like that, what do they do after that? Do they just sit in the rubble like, great job, lads, we've done it? Like, I don't think that's going to work. Anyway, Hawks is labeling this as the second coming of All for One, and this is where it hit right in the heart for a lot of people. Twice turns around and he's like, he turns around to Hawks and he's like, hey, you're doing stellar work, man. I knew you were a swell guy. So essentially what we get from this is Hawks is using Twice, and he actually thanks in his mind. He's like, it's all thanks to you, Jin Bubaigawara. So what Hawks is doing is he's realized that that Twice, is the most dangerous person within the entire Paranormal Liberation Front, whatever you want to call it, because when he conquered his trauma and he could infinitely respawn without any hesitation and all that good stuff, or infinitely copy himself, as well as copy others, that meant that, and Hawks identified this, he could take the measurements of any of the Nomus, like high end, for instance, himself, Shigaraki, and he could just replicate. He could replicate for as many times as he wanted. And then what do you have? This guy is literally a one-man army. All he needs to do is remember the measurements of someone, bring them to the surface, and you're fucked. Like, this guy is a one-man army. So Hawks is looking at this guy like, I know that he's a good-natured guy, but he's also the most dangerous. So then we get a little bit of a flashback within a flashback where Hawks is teaching him about like the Liberation Army, and he tells Twice about why he identifies a little bit with the Liberation Army. He's like, the world I once dreamed of and admired, the hero society, turned out to be more of a birdcage, and I don't want to be in a birdcage. I want to fly free. So Twice is like impressed by this, but more than impressed by this, he identifies with this. So he identifies with Hawks, and he's like, he tells him basically very, very important information, confidential information, even though he knows that Hawks is being spied on. So he tells Hawks, he's like, Shigaraki's powering up in some mountain near Kyoto. It's gonna take about 4 months, and then he's like, "Oh, that's off the records though. Just you and me, Those are the only two people that should know about this." So Twice is just, like I said, he looks at Hawks and he's like, anyone who helps his friends can't be all bad. and Hawks is just looking at him deadpan, like, yeah, yeah, it's all cool. And I felt kind of bad here for Twice. I think a lot of people felt bad here for Twice, because there's going to be a point where Twice realizes that Hawks has betrayed him and the Paranormal Liberation Front / army, and it's going to hit him hard, and he's never going to trust anyone ever again or something like that. But Hawks it seems like Hawks actually likes Twice, to be fair, to an extent. He looks at him and he's like, I know you're a good-natured guy. I know you're not evil inside yourself. Like, your soul isn't evil, like Shigaraki, who's just a pure madman. He knows that Twice, maybe if life had gone differently, would have been a better guy. Probably even a hero. So he doesn't really resent Twice, and I think he actually likes him a bit. And maybe that's something that might come back to haunt Hawks. Maybe something like Twice will be apprehended for leaking information or something like that by Shigaraki or something along those lines, and Hawks will be like, ooh, but I doubt Hawks would actually give up his cover to save him. Anyway, we then see from that city, from Kyoto, we see all of, like, every hero you've ever heard of. Actually, just a lot of the heroes. We see that bunny lady. We see, oh my god, what's her name? The dragoon lady. What's it? Her name is something. We see Present Mike. We see at the forefront of all of this is Endeavor. We see endoplasm. Is it ectoplasm? We see Aizawa. We see the astronaut-looking dude. We even see Gran Torino, which is surprising. We see some of the Pussycats. Is Tiger there? Tiger's there as well. We see Wash. Basically, all the heroes that we know, apart from maybe a few, are there. Even Rocklock is there. The Waste Man. But all the kids in Class 1A, they realize the same thing. They've all been given the same holiday, the same days off, essentially, during their work study. And they've all been given the same assignment, essentially. So they team up with Burning. And she's like, the heroes are over there in those foothills. We're going to go back them up and help evacuate the city. And then we see that Shoto is there, Deku's there, but behind them is Class 1B. So you have Class 1B and 1A, and they're essentially helping out the heroes. So we went from this flashback, which was 1 week after Hawks had identified that the heroes had identified where Shigaraki was. And now we're back a month in advance. This is after the time skip. This is March time now, I think. This is the spring. And I'm not sure how this is going to go, because we were told heroes vanished from the city. Did Horikoshi simply say that just because it's an 18-minute review? did Horikoshi simply say that just because all the heroes have gone to that mountain on Kyoto, so technically they've all left the city, so there were no heroes in the city? Or does something happen to them where basically a shit ton of these heroes die, a lot of them go missing, or maybe the entirety of the hero society goes missing, and all that's left are these hero interns / students? Because that would be insane. And then I would be like it would be very difficult, in my opinion, for these kids to essentially win back hero society in any shape, way, or form if all of the heroes disappear. I do want to see Shigaraki come out more powerful than ever, but I'm also very wary of Horikoshi making him too powerful, because you have to realize, like, I understand that he's gone through a whole bunch of shit, that he was training with Gigantomachia and stuff like that, but these heroes, especially Endeavor's been busting his balls his entire life. If Shigaraki comes and just ends all of them with his newfound abilities, I mean, I know he's also been experimented on and stuff like that, so maybe there is some element of Shigaraki just being a broken, unfair individual, because that's technically exactly what he is. He was forced into fighting Gigantomachia night and day for like however long it was it a month or two? And then not only that, he went to Deka City, where he exploded with his quirk, and it evolved completely. And then after that, he was experimented on and forced to, I'm not sure what actually they did to his body, whether it was to increase regen or whether it was to evolve his quirk even further. Maybe even gave him, I think Eggman might have even given him a couple quirks, which is why his body looked like it was breaking down. But yeah, so I know Shigaraki's going to be powerful, but I don't want him to just be obscenely powerful, where it's just like, holy shit, it's all for one part two. Even though that's what Hawks has labeled this event. Hawks himself, I really hope that guy makes it out, but I'm getting the feeling he's really not gonna make it out. But I also want him to play a very pivotal part in what's gonna happen moving forward. So even if he were to die, I want him to do something incredibly important, like say something to the kids that leads them down a path where they figure shit out, and because of what he said, they're eventually victorious in the end. But I really feel like he needs to do something pivotal if he is gonna die. If he's just gonna die and he does nothing beyond that, that would be a bit unfortunate. But I trust in Horikoshi. The artwork, like I said, actually I didn't even say that. The artwork was exceptional. In the end, though, the last panel we get, you see Shoto's hair. It looks a bit weird. I mean, like I understand it's blowing in the wind, but it looks a bit more Minecrafty than I expected. Even Deku's hair looks a lot more Minecrafty than I expected. And you see people in the back with like longer hair that's blowing in the wind, and it looks more natural. But I suppose Horikoshi's art style has adapted a little bit. So let me know what you guys thought of this chapter. Let me know what you guys thought of this review. The next few chapters are going to be insane. I think they're going to be badass. And I really hope, like I said, that Shigaraki makes an impression, but he doesn't make too much of an impression. And the heroes are just like, yo, shit, we can't touch this kid. Because that would be a little bit... but also understandable to an extent. So like I said, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let me know what you guys thought. And I'll see you guys in a bit.